What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be back in the shop, get some work done on the fuel tanks for the International. I got these big freightliner fuel tanks here, but they are way too big. They're 48 inches wide and I need to cut them down to like 36, 34. So I'm gonna get these things cleaned up, fill them full of water, make sure all the diesel's out of it, and then we'll get cutting on these things. Alright, I'm gonna start filling this thing with water so we can clean out all the diesel. Alright, let's let that thing fill up and get that diesel out of there so we can cut it open a little safer. I'm not too worried about it because it is aluminum, but you never know. These things might take a while to fill up. I think they're 80 or 90 gallons. I should say somewhere on here. 80 gallon. But I just want to get them filled up and rinse it out a little bit because there was still a little bit of diesel left inside when I bought them. And then there's a few dents in the tanks, like this end is dented in a little bit. Then one of the other ends, that one's good. That one has a little dent in it. So when I cut them open, I'll try to get those dents out best I can because I don't really know how to do it any other way. This tank here is going to end up being the one for the fuel just because it already has a sending unit port, so I can put a new sending unit in there and that'll be our fuel level. This one will end up being toolbox slash battery box. We'll have the batteries in there and then some other just knick-knack stuff that I might need on the truck, maybe a couple straps or tools or something. So this one does not have the sending unit like the other one does. But unfortunately, this is the cleaner tank, so I'd like to not cut this one up as bad as that one, but it is what it is. There's a couple dents I noticed right here on top, and you can see it's kind of caved in right there. But that's right where the strap's gonna go, so I'm not too worried about it. Actually, that might even get cut off when I shorten it. But the same dents over here, but the straps will cover all that. While those are filling, I'm gonna dig out the pressure washer and get all that ready so I can spray them off and get them clean before I try to cut on them and do all that. I just put everything away yesterday and cleaned up in here, so now I gotta dig it all back out. I'd like to get a pressure washer that mounts to the wall or something, and I can not have to do this every time, and hopefully I can find one with a softer hose because this thing's a pain to roll up and move around to use. So if anybody knows of a pressure washer that's not crazy expensive, I can mount on the wall and have like a nice hose reel, I'd definitely be interested. I mean, don't get me wrong, one extension cord and the hose is not hard, but when you're jamming and trying to flat rate some work around here, it's kind of a pain sometimes to dig it out and put it back. I don't think I really showed the shop too much last time because it was a huge mess, but I spent a couple hours yesterday after work cleaning up in here. Got everything right here cleaned up and moved. Got that engine that has to go to scrap, those tires go to the dump, and a couple other things got moved out of the way and cleaned up, so I got some more room in here. Got the new welding table all put together. I still need to build a lower shelf down here so I can put some stuff down there like the plasma cutter and the chop saw and just random stuff that I'm always using. I was throwing around the idea of running this old Fleece Cheetah turbo on the Loadstar. I had this on an old 12 valve that I had a couple years ago. It was a 97 12 valve, but it ate a rock or a bolt or something and chewed up the wheel. So I replaced the entire turbo, not really thinking I could just get a new wheel and replace this. So maybe I'll replace this now and throw this and some injectors on the Loadstar and make some power and some cool noises. But for now, we'll leave her stock and get her running and play with the idea of doing the fleece in the future. Alright, this one's draining out. I got it full to the brim and shook it around with the soap a little bit, and we'll drain it out and then get these things cut. degreaser by itself wasn't doing the trick, so bring out the big guns, try to scrub this stuff off of there. See how it does. Not too bad. I don't think anything is going to work as fast as I really want it to. Go again, round 2. These things really aren't getting as clean as I was hoping for. But I'm just gonna have to sand them and repolish them at this point. Try to make them look as good as I can at least. Alright, I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. Scrubbed them pretty good with the drill brush and lots of degreaser and pressure washer. They're just big chunks right here. Like, I almost think this thing came off of like a tar truck or something that was hauling asphalt or something like that, because it's thick on there. But good enough for now. Clean enough to cut them open at least. So while these things are drying up, I'm gonna put a few tools away in the shop and get some room in here on the workbench so I can have somewhere to work and not just have a mess of tools everywhere. I don't know about you guys, but when you're working in the shop, it's a pain to have everything just in your way. And sometimes it's hard because it might be tools you're actually using at that time, but that's the main reason I built a whole new workbench, is just so I have more bench space to work on a project. First real project I get to do on this thing will be cutting these tanks open and cleaning them out. I'm gonna need that. Probably use this to cut them open. I think I'm actually gonna get the tanks cut outside, just so all the water that's left inside that didn't get out doesn't make a huge mess in the shop. So I put these tires down. I'm gonna put the tanks on top of the tires and then slice them up. Let me grab my tripod real quick and we'll throw these tanks over there. Definitely a two-handed job, almost a two-person job. They're pretty heavy. Well, we got the tank over here. Let's figure out how we're gonna do this and measure it all out and get this thing cut. Hopefully be able to cut it clean enough where I can not do too much work to have to clean it up before welding it. All right, total tank. Gonna check it one more time. It's been a while since I checked it. 48, just under 48. But I'm gonna go down to 36. I'll mark it there. I think I'm just gonna cut it right in the middle of that weld, all the way around. So I'm just gonna shoot right in the middle of this weld. I'm gonna try out the Sawzall and see how it does, because the cutoff wheel just wants to keep grabbing it because the abrasive wheels aren't really great on aluminum. see how this does. I think I got a thick enough cut in there for this. Well, I was trying to think of a way to mark this straight all the way around, and I could measure off of the end and go all the way around it, but this wasn't really the best cut. So I think what I might have to do is take the end cap, get it perfectly flat, and then just keep marking it up here to get this one flat. Get this one flat, smooth, and then measure and do this, because I want to make sure this is super straight and good. So we'll do that. Let's take this piece inside, put it on the table, and we'll be able to see the highs and lows and figure it out. All right, let's see here. Well, you ain't that straight.
Well, you ain't that straight.
Got a pretty good gap on a couple of spots. So I'm just gonna go around the edge, mark the high spots, and then grind them out. See if we can get this one out here a little closer to where it needs to be. Alright, got it on the table, and it's actually pretty freaking flat. It could be better, but that'll definitely work. So let's find our mark here, and then I'm just going to run a tape all the way around it and trace this line. Alright, I'm just going to do it like this, with the Sharpie on top, flat, and just go slow and take my time. All right, cutting off quite a bit of tank there. I think I'll use the Sawzall again, but I'm going to have to get it started with the cutoff wheel. I think I'll just take it right back out to the tire and do it outside. That way all those metal shavings are out there. Now I kind of enjoy working outside, especially today. It's pretty warm and it keeps the mess out of the shop. And I can just blow it away with the leaf blower over here. So let's start the cut with the cutoff wheel, and then we'll switch to the Sawzall because it's faster. Cutoff wheel. Alright. Alright, let's get this thing cleaned up and ready to weld. Just gonna cut the edge off a little bit, make it a little smoother. Alright, I'm just gonna see what I can make happen here. This top lid isn't really fitting right because the tank's not round anymore. It's got so many flat spots. So I'm just gonna get it tacked on one edge and then try to move it around and work it into a good spot and somewhere where I can weld it up. So this edge, got that pretty close. And then this edge over here is sucked way underneath because this whole side is flat. And then this side's sticking out. So I need to push this side in and get this side tacked, or I guess get this back side tacked and then push this in, and hopefully it'll push that out a little bit. Let's try that. Let's get this side over here tacked up. All right, that's working way better than I expected it to. So now I just gotta see the gap, hold it in while I weld it, but I at least got it level now. little bit more weld on there. See if we can press down on one more spot. Up a little more. I think I'm on the locks. All right, let's get this one welded right there. That'll do it. Let's get that tacked up and then we can put this thing on the table and actually weld it in a better position. Just start working our way around this thing. Put a little bit more amps in it. See what happens. Well, I was a little rusty at first, but it started to come together. It looks pretty good. I haven't done aluminum a whole lot, let alone in quite a while. But I'm pretty happy with how this came out. Looks good. Still need to get these sanded and cleaned up. But for now, I'm gonna go get the other tank done. I'm not gonna film that one just because it's gonna be the same exact thing I did on this one. And I don't wanna waste the time trying to film everything. So I'm gonna get that one knocked out. And then we'll get these things kind of mocked up on the truck and see where we want to put them. Well, we're back in the shop. It's the next day. I got the other tank knocked out last night. And it came out pretty good. The welds are pretty good. I had some practice under my belt before the other one, so this came out pretty decent on the welds. There was a few dents in this tank. Like this one I didn't notice until after I welded it back together. Otherwise I would have knocked it out while it was open. And this end cap is pretty damaged. I tried fixing that one with it when it was apart. I heated it up with the oxyacetylene torch, hammered it, and it wouldn't budge. It might have moved a little bit, but I think I'm gonna have to fill it up with water, plug all the holes like the drain and the fuel lines, add water, and then pressurize it. So maybe they'll bump it out, but I'm gonna do that after they're all mounted so it's a little safer. But for now, all I want to get done is cut off these mounts off the frame. Cut this mount off, and these mounts I'm just gonna leave here for now, just because they're not in the way, and kind of mock up and see where I want to put the tank, see how much spacing I need for the stack, and that way it all looks proportional, and just get a good look of how it's gonna look. So let me get those lopped off there real quick, and then we'll get some wood and throw these tanks up. So these are the factory Freightliner mounts I got, and these mounts are actually designed to go on top of the tanks, and the tanks hang down from underneath them. So like they would go on the frame like that, and the strap would go underneath the tank. But what I'm going to do, mount them upside down and then set the tank on top, and then the straps will hold it around the top. So I mocked up the other one, and that's how it's going to sit. It might go a hair forward, but I'm not totally sure yet. So you can see I have the mounts just sitting on wood. And then let me see if I go on the back side. The mounts are lower than the frame completely. So I'll have to build some mounts or something that go down from the frame for those to bolt to. And right now I have it mounted somewhat low. It's about maybe an inch taller than the step, which I definitely don't want it lower than the step because the step's already pretty low. But I like it so in the future, if I do air ride on the truck, the step will lay on the ground, the fuel tank brackets will lay on the ground, and the back bumper will lay on the ground. So I want those all three to be the same height all the way across. So when I do actually go to mount them, I'm going to match the tank height or the bottom of the bracket to the step so it's level. And forward and back, I think that's pretty good. I have a 7-inch stack that's going to go right in between the tank and the cab. I don't want the stack to be too much wider than the cab. So you can see the tank is wider than the cab, but the stack will probably go just right on the edge of it, peeking out a little bit up here, but level with the door. And it's it can go a little closer into the frame once I cut these brackets off. I didn't think they'd be in the way, but they are. So once these are gone, we'll get an inch closer to the frame. And then the whole reason why I cut them down shorter is because I needed room for the stack. And if I had it the other length, I cut it 12 inches off. So before that, it was hitting the leaf spring mount and everything, and it was just ugly. And if I scoot it far this way, it's sticking out too far, and it's close to the tire. So that length right there at 36 inches is perfect. And I did the math on it last night. 23 by 36 is a 65 gallon tank. So we went from 80 gallon to 65. So 65 gallons will be plenty for fuel, because I'm going to run that one tank on this side, and that'll be our fuel tank, because I'll have the fast system or air dog, whatever I end up getting on that side, to the pump that's on that side of the motor. And then this side, I'm going to do the same thing that Adam Spraggin did on his truck and the one he did on Todd's truck. And that is going to be cutting the bottom of this box out and making it removable and have all the batteries inside there. And if I could fit any other stuff in there, maybe have like tie down straps and some other things. I think that'll turn out great. It looks good and it works functionally on the trucks he's built, and I've been picking his brain at a few things building this thing, and I'm grateful to have people like that help me out, give me some input, and obviously give me some ideas. Maybe one of these days when he comes out to the West Coast, or if I head back east, I can meet up and have our trucks together in a show or something cool like that. So yeah, just appreciative for all the guys that give me a hand, all the guys on the international Facebook group as well that answer questions and stuff like that. Well, that's pretty much gonna sum it up for this video this week. I wanted to get the tanks mounted and have all that done, but it took a lot longer than I expected to cut the tanks, and I've been a little busy other than working in the shop this weekend, so maybe next weekend or during the week we'll get out here and get the tanks mounted up, figure out what we're gonna do with the straps, whether I'm gonna make new ones like Adam did on Todd's truck, or if I'm gonna use the Kenworth, I keep saying Kenworth, the freightliner tanks. They came with the factory freightliner straps, so maybe I'll use those, but not sure yet. So stay tuned for that. Next week we'll get some more work done. Maybe we'll pull the cab off and get the inside all welded up in there and figure that out. And I was going to push the truck out and get a thumbnail for this thing, but I realized I don't have the steering in there right now, so I don't want to move it out and have the wheels turn going over the curb, and then I'm going to be stuck. So we'll figure something out. Thank you guys for checking out the video, and stay tuned for next week. And thanks again for all the support on the channel and all the builds, and everything we have in store here is going to be exciting. So can't wait to get this truck done and get on the road and get to some shows. So thank you guys for checking it out. We'll see you guys in the next video.